Is you are actually the second female guild presidential candidate in the last 10 years.
We actually last had the first ever guild president about over like 10 years ago.
The female guild president. Wow.
So when I come up to contest, I actually thought I would change history.
Okay.
Hopefully the next people.
I love it. I mean,
Yeah.
ambition, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what matters. Your dreams are valid, my dear. I love
First
it very
female
much.
president here.
Indeed, we speak it. We
That's
speak
true.
it. We speak it. It indeed. Welcome to the show, Julia. Thank you so much for joining us today. And interestingly, what is as it's a very interesting title. What is your role as Guild Gender Minister?
My appointment, I feel like, followed the fact that I stood out to change the history and empower the female population in moves to actually participate in leadership spaces. So I think one of the things that I'm looking at, leave alone what the Constitution stipulates on ensuring that the female students have welfare and all. There is an aspect of the workshops, the mentorship, just to encourage the female child or the female people to take up spaces in moves. So my role is basically around the welfare of the female students, but more bent on the side of the empowerment and to ensure that we have the gender equity and equality in the different spaces in moves.
Wow. I love it. Listen,
when you look down at the GRCs that represent different constituencies, you realize that actually most of them are male in the mob's parliament. So this has more to the stereotypes around the girl child being in spaces than anything else. Because you see, the females are willing to not support a fellow female, not because she's competent or she's incompetent, but because they just cannot stand a fellow female leading them. So that's just a stereotype that we should actually try to fight.
That's actually interesting. And, it's seeing that it is a predominantly female campus, we really need to look at what exactly the issue is. Is it that people are afraid or that they've never seen, maybe they have not experienced leadership from a female and so they cannot fathom it? Is that what it could be?
I don't think that's the case because just like I said, even at the lower levels of leadership, if some are already offering themselves but not given the mantle, we have cases of people actually having a thought of running for guild president, but because of the stereotypes, immediately you show yourself and everyone is actually not welcoming. They're just discouraged and they end up backing like the male counterparts who are actually running.
Oh, okay, interesting. Now, Julia, we live in a very interesting time, and of course, indeed, and we are every passing day we are just hearing about how the government is looking into opening schools in light of this COVID-19 pandemic. And could you just talk about how, let's say, student welfare at Makerere University Business School has been affected generally by the pandemic? We could talk about first of all, the online learning. How has online learning been embraced by the students?
It is something that's really hard. I'm speaking from the fact that I come from a public university.
Right.
Where public, I mean, those that could actually do not have laptops. Some don't even have smartphones in these institutions. It was hard to embrace, but as time moved on, it was inevitable. Like we all had to embrace.
Yeah.
The question moved on from who is actually adopting to who can we move with.
Yes,
which is a sad fact. It was really pressing because students need to cover their data expenses, and on top of adapting to online classes, network issues. You know, you're in Kampala but you're logged out of the class. Then what of someone deep down in like Kapchora or something? So it is really hard to adopt to, but the situations actually dictate that we should adopt. But to the life of a normal student, it's hard. Some students actually choose which classes they will attend.
Right.
And some actually just meet as a group so that today it's me buying the data, we study as 5, tomorrow the other person. So students are just trying to find a way to actually adopt.
Right. So generally, what has been the response rate? If you could summarize, what has been the response rate to virtual learning?
Virtual learning, I think, from judging from my own course, we have 60 to 70.
Which course is this?
International business.
Right. You're the ones. Okay. Interesting.
And
Cool. Now, of course, if you've been following the conversation and have a few questions or any inquiries, the number to SMS or WhatsApp is 0753 104 104. Julia is here and she will be willing to answer your questions. Now, Julia, just before we went for the break, you were telling us about some of the challenges that are affecting student welfare right now, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, we want to talk about vaccination. How is vaccination, is it being welcomed among the students? What is the system, or what are the dynamics that have been put in place for those? Are they telling people to get vaccinated before they come back to school? What exactly is happening on ground?
The MOOBS Guild has been in position to liaise with the Ministry of Health, and
Right.
we have vaccination ongoing at the MOOBS.
at the campus grounds.
Yeah, at the campus grounds.
Okay.
That is one of the best things to happen, because students are within, they're in hostels, some of them, so they can actually come for the vaccination. But again, we as students, we are tired of being home, and if the president says that there is a target we need to meet for him to open schools,
Yes.
we are left with no option than to comply, because we want to meet the target and we want the president to be in position to open fully and we go back. So if I go get vaccinated, I want to make sure my friend gets vaccinated. So I'll have to tell them, please go get vaccinated. We need schools to be open.
Amazing. What is the response? Are people complying to the vaccination?
Actually, students are complying. As far as the MOOBS grants is concerned, yesterday we registered a good number of students being vaccinated.
Okay.
Yesterday,
Yeah.
All right. And what about the teachers, the lecturers?
I feel like the lecturers were already vaccinated, because even before this second wave, lecturers, MOOBS, MOOC, they were the first category of people to be considered.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, for vaccination, and actually the non-teaching staff as well. Yes, so now the burden is entirely on the students.
Okay.
So students, please go out there and do get vaccinated if you want to actually, get back to school. Now, before we close before we went for a break, we talked about how you are Christian, but actually you're in a political space, and sometimes merging Christianity and politics can be very difficult.
Right.
Could you talk into your experience so far, dealing with politics and actually having your Christian virtues and values?
Yeah, being a Christian, there are values that cannot be separated from your life. And then politics is more of what the people expect of you, and usually it goes as far as faking your personality, lying about yourself, giving fake promises, and all just for you to get it. Exactly, to get the votes, and at worst even reaching the votes. So all that really compromises. So as a Christian, you always have a dilemma of, really, am I going to be Christian even when this is finished, as I'm campaigning, or
when I've got what I want?
When I've got what I want, will I look back and really thank God that it was because of God and my efforts that this happened, or I will actually know that I just figured out my way and had this.
It wasn't
exactly. So I feel like Christians in political spaces really have to decide, are you still Christian as you are pursuing this? Are you Christian to the point that you're willing to let it go if God is not on your side, then compromising the values? So that is where the challenge comes in, and I feel like that is where most of them lose it. Yes.
Okay, very amazing. And, I just look at it, seeing you being a Christian, being this ambitious young lady, it actually just warms my heart very much, because we really do need more people like you. We need more Christians to take up spaces, mountains of influence. And it really, really does warm my heart. Now, what exactly is the upside? It can't be bad being a Christian in a position of leadership every day. What are the upsides? What are the perks and the benefits?
One, I feel like your confidence, the fact that you're Christian, your confidence is entirely on God.
Exactly.
And it's actually not an easy journey, but the fact that you know that you are where you are even before you get where you want to get because of God, it just keeps you going. And there's also an attachment to other people that actually, that there are values in you that reflect even before you speak for yourself.
Yeah.
So that is one of the good things with being Christian. So in your pursuit for the different things, people actually see this in you. There is something they already see in you that is real, that is pure, but all that comes from the Christian values. I've been a leader since my primary 3, all through primary, all through secondary. So this is something for me. This is something I love. This is something I really love because it feels fulfilling. Creating impact, speaking for people, positive change, and just being at a point where you are making decisions for to represent majority of the views. So being in that context, I feel like leadership is one of the things I live for. It's my purpose.
Amazing.
So are we looking at the first female president here?
Yes, but in like yes. For starters, I'm just growing in my political arena. I'm right now contesting to represent all the students of Uganda at the Uganda. Yes, Gulu, everyone from post-primary, high school, and then university, tertiary, and all. At the Ghana National Students Association, and then 2026 I'm looking at representing the females in youth parliament.
Hey,
National female
we need
MP.
proof. We need proof of we knew.
Yes. But hey, all the best, really.
Yeah, so that's it for my political journey.
Amazing. I love it. Listen, I've been challenged to go back and evaluate my short and long-term objectives of life.
Was in 2026.
Right. And, Julia, just as we wrap this up, do you have any last words of encouragement or motivation? It could be to anybody, a young lady out there who is looking to be just like you, to be,
feel empowered, feel like I can make it.
Yes.
One, I would like to say that unlike very many political figures who are female that are not really willing to hold hands of the females that are willing to take up spaces, I am, and I'm actually doing that, and I'll always do that. So I just want to tell them that fine, they may not have someone to hold their hands because it's really a hectic process, especially if you are a female in the political spaces, but they can do it. Personally, I didn't have someone who would tell me that you can do it. Even the people I looked up to would tell me, but Julia, you're just being over ambitious. But I just want to tell them, if you really want to serve, if that is you, go out there, let the world see you. Because in the end, even when you do not get the position, the world has recognized that you are a leader.
Right.
Exactly. You are willing to serve, and you can do everything you should do to get there. So just do it. If you want to go for it, go for it. Let nothing stop you. Let not the stereotypes. In fact, if we have the stereotypes, just look at it as an energy, something that you are willing to change, and you can only change it if you actually stand up against it. And that is actually taking up space. So to all the young girls out there, you can actually do this. If you really love leadership, go for it.